Now, our next segment, our second segment on the show, always looks at trending topics. And while the algorithmic trending topics that I found this morning were kind of lacking, I kind of feel that a scary and recurring trending topic has been our ongoing understanding of the SolarWinds hack. And just the scale and scope, which we talked about in an episode earlier in the week and ran a newsletter around it as well. But I kind of feel that we're starting to change our cybersecurity metaphors, that we're starting to change the stories we use to describe cybersecurity. And I think the SolarWinds hack is so devastating on a range of different levels that it's causing us to adapt those metaphors. It's causing us to change the way that we think about hacking and we think about cybersecurity. So, today, briefly, the example has to do with as the investigation into the SolarWinds hacks expands, there's a growing evidence that Russia, or the primary active persistent threat hackers who were behind this, were not the only foxes in the henhouse, that they were not the only people who were actively using the backdoors and actively using the compromised software that was in place to compromise the U.S. government and to compromise other clients of SolarWinds and OrionGate. Although, again, as we reported earlier in the week, or as we shared the Wall Street Journal reporting from earlier in the week, they're now estimating that 30% of the entities hacked as a result of this extended campaign were not users of SolarWinds. They were not users of OrionGate. And so it speaks to how, this was a clusterfuck. But I say that more to go back to our metaphor that, maybe instead of thinking of hacking as a bank heist, maybe we should instead think of hacking as a riot. And this is not my metaphor. I'm not inventing this. I've heard this come from a number of different sources as I've been listening and reading the coverage of the SolarWinds hack. But it kind of suggests that, where a bank heist is kind of planned and schemed and, it's kind of top secret, and in theory no one else knows it's going on, a riot is the opposite. A riot is chaotic. A riot is something that others can join in on. It's something that in that chaos, multiple actors and multiple parties can take advantage and go and loot or go and engage in acts of violence or protest their issue. And so if we think of hacking, especially state-based hacking, as a riot rather than a break-in, well, then it opens up the possibility that maybe there are multiple states engaging in this opportunity, especially on the level of espionage, but also on the level of infiltrating systems and trying to create permanent backdoors. And it reflects the extent to which cybersecurity is in the realm of espionage, because governments have an interest not just to protect their own systems, but to observe how other state-based actors are hacking each other. Now, they might be observing this other hacking activity for educational purposes so that they can learn about it themselves and develop their better defenses and figure out how to engage in their own offensive activities, but also because it offers crimes of opportunity, hacks of opportunity. And so the hypothesis that's starting to emerge that, is articulated in this Wired article is that while Russia was owning SolarWinds and by extension the U.S. government, China saw an opportunity to get in and have their own party, right? They saw a riot going on and thought, oh, well, look at how Russia is owning them. Well, maybe we should send in our own squads. Maybe we should send in our own hackers and see what data we can loot. See what information we can take out for ourselves. And if you think about it, that's a pretty brilliant approach, right? In the social media world, this is called the fast follower. That you don't need to be the innovator. You don't need to be the person who does it first, but instead, you just got to follow the vanguard. You got to follow the person who blazes the trail and instead come in their wake and take advantage of, in this case, the backdoors and holes that have been installed. And I think that offers, as a metaphor, a much better way for us to understand not just hacking, but state-based hacking. That while it does involve a lot of sophistication, while it does involve a lot of precision, it also involves a lot of chaos. And it's chaos that can't be controlled, and that's part of how other adversaries or other states are then able to come in and take advantage of what's happening in that particular instance. So the SolarWinds hack as a riot, I think, is a metaphor that's going to have a lot of legs. And it's going to provide a lot of opportunities as this hack, or at least as our understanding of this hack continues to play out, to really give us a better frame by which to not only understand, say, how Russia or even China or the United States have all had a role or faced consequences of this attack, but how it's impacted the private sector. And maybe private sector actors or independent actors also got in on the fun. We don't know that yet. And I think that creates a really interesting frame by which we can understand and appreciate this story as a whole.